Welcome to the Exceptional Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Anita Brooks, and here you'll find teaching topics, interviews, conversations, and coaching tips, all designed to help you level up. We all lead someone. The question is, are we leading well, exceptionally well? So join me on a quest, not for perfection, but absolutely for exceptional leadership. Well, as I record this, we are ending another year. And I love the empowerment that I get as an exceptional leader from inspirational and motivational quotes. So today, we're going to keep things short and sweet, but very powerful. And I want to share with you 10 quotes that I believe can either inspire or motivate us to exceptional leadership heights. So I'm just going to dig right in, and I hope that this inspires you to start making more of a difference every day. Because remember, I believe you were born on purpose, with purpose, in order to fulfill an abundant purpose. But it's not just going to happen. No one else is going to do it for you. You have to take the initiative. You have to be intentional to make your mark while you're still on planet Earth. So let's go into some quotes that hopefully are going to push you to greater heights. So the first one that I want to share is one that I think a lot of us, we get stuck a little bit on what's happened in the past, and we let that shape and mold our decisions today, and sometimes in ways that hold us back. And so this quote says, no matter how hard the past is, you can always begin again. And that's from Buddha. So it kind of goes along with the thing that you've probably heard me say, which is it's never too late for a fresh start with fresh faith. Not only do I believe this kind of a philosophy, but I walk it out. Look, my life is not perfect. I've had plenty of my own issues to deal with. We all have those situations, sometimes sadly people, that no matter how much you pour into it, it seems like you can't turn it around because it takes two. You can't do that all on your own. Well, you know what? I have that in my life too. I just choose not to let it hold me back. So no matter what's happened before, I want you to inspire yourself, motivate yourself, change that self-talk to where if the past has been a hindrance, then let that stop today in this moment. So no matter how hard the past is, you're going to make your fresh start today. Okay, that's number one. Here's another one. Take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. And that's Martin Luther King Jr. We all know that King was a very inspirational man, but he had to walk that walk too. There were a lot of things that he had to step into the unknown. And I know what that's like. I remember years ago when I was going through a very dark season and I met a Holocaust survivor. I actually wrote about her in my book, Getting Through What You Can't Get Over. She told me that every day I needed to focus on taking a step forward. And she said, especially if you don't feel like it, she said, you think of me, you remember me, and you step anyway. And one day you will put enough steps together that you will suddenly look up and realize that you've stepped out of the darkness into the light. Let me tell you something. It happened for me. I remember the days that I just really wanted to stay in bed with the covers pulled over my head, but I didn't. I remember Dr. Edith Eger's words to me. And so I stepped anyway. And I can still recall that moment when I laughed for the first time in a long time, and it wasn't forced and it wasn't faked. It was real. It was genuine. It was authentic, and it felt so good. And I knew in that moment that I had stepped into the light. So remember, we don't always have to see exactly where we're going to take the next step, but we just take that step anyway. And if we continue to do that, it's going to take us to a place that brings us into light. Okay, let's talk about our third motivational, inspirational quote. One of my all-time favorites. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. And it's an ancient Chinese proverb. I can't adequately express how many times this proverb has helped me get off my duff and get to work when I didn't feel like it. Look, all of us struggle with procrastination sometimes. But when you think about the fact that if I put something off 20 years ago, then I could have seen results today, but that didn't happen because I didn't do that. Then it can actually be an impetus to get you moving forward in this moment. And so that's what I would encourage you. If there's anything that you've been putting off, today, this moment is the best time to take action. So don't waste a lot of emotional energy again beating yourself up, but just plant the tree because the second best time is now. Number 4, a bird sitting in a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking because its trust is not in the branch, but in its wings. You know, sometimes we just have to trust our own heart, our own motive, our own spirit to give us flight, to help us to lift our wings and fly into all of the opportunities, all of the options that lay ahead of us. But if we let fear hold us back, if we make fear-based decisions, we're never going to fly. And I see leaders do this often, that they will let fear drive their choices. Don't let that be you. Make yourself take flight. Make yourself do the uncomfortable thing. Do it scared. It's okay. We all do things scared, or at least those of us who actually execute and we pursue our dreams and we make them come true. I can tell you, when I first started coaching, I sometimes struggled and wondered if I was an imposter. I had the whole imposter syndrome thing going on. I had insecurity at times. I still, every once in a while, have those things still try to seep back in. But I have to remind myself, that is not true. Those are emotional lies. And I am equipped. I do have the expertise and the experience based on years of work and the credibility of many, 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 many testimonials from the results that have happened because I've been able to help people. So don't let emotional lies hold you back. Spread those wings, soar into all that you're meant to be. Here's another one. You can't start a new chapter until you finish the last. There's a book out there by Dr. Henry Cloud, and it's called Necessary Endings. Necessary Endings is such a great book, and it speaks to this because sometimes we really want to do something new, but we haven't closed the previous chapter, and we need to take care of that. We need to tie up our loose ends, or we need to release and let go of some old things so we can start the fresh and new. So if you want to do something new, then be intentional, go back and really face whatever those things are in the past that you need to close up. Take care of it, and then you can go into the new thing with relief and a fresh, clean perspective, and then energy that takes you to that place that really is just leveled up to soaring new heights that so many people wish they could get to, but they don't ever arrive because they haven't closed that previous chapter. Don't let that be you. Be that exceptional person who takes care of the necessary endings so you can begin fresh beginnings. Okay, our 6th quote. There are 2 mistakes one can make along the road to truth: not going all the way and not starting. Oh my gosh, the start is the hardest part of almost anything. Look, I'm an author. When I want to write a book, I always have all this fresh excitement and everything. And then I go to do the writing and suddenly I want to scrub the toilet. Suddenly I want to do the dishes or clean out the refrigerator. It's the craziest thing that I will resist the start. But what I found is the start is the hardest part. So if I can overcome that resistance to starting, momentum quickly takes hold and I find myself really accomplishing a lot. So I'll share a little tidbit, something that I do that helps myself with the start. I psych myself out. Now, I know I'm doing it, but it works every stinking time. So often I'll just say to myself, look, you only have to do 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes, and then you can stop. Well, here's what happens. I never stop at the end of the 5 minutes. I keep going. It's true whether I'm exercising or whether I'm writing a book or whether I need to sit down and work on a new coaching proposal or whether I want to develop a new exercise or activity that's come to light because of work with one of my business coaching clients. Any of those things, sometimes I will resist the beginning, but when I do that 5-minute psych out, every single time I get it done. And usually once I dig in, I find out, oh, I don't even know why I was procrastinating because this thing didn't take nearly as long as I thought it would. And I just feel so relieved to have it done. And then that gives me fresh energy. And then I want to do other things too. So hope that helps. Okay. Our 7th quote. The habits you created to survive will no longer serve you when it's time to thrive. Get out of survival mode. New habits, new life. I love this one because so many of my business coaching clients that I work with are either entering a growth stage or they've been in a growth stage for a little while and they don't understand why they're struggling so much. Growth is actually, it can be a dangerous place for a business. And sometimes people don't understand that. But one of the things you've got to come to terms with in growth is you've got to realize you can't keep doing things the same way you've always done them. What got you to this point to where you're able to grow is not most often going to be the thing that helps you grow and reach that next level. So you're going to have to evaluate and assess. That's one of the things that I do in my coaching is I actually have assessments and evaluations that I have developed through the years that help people get there a lot faster and frankly, a lot less expensively and figure out how they can grow and not reach a danger zone with it. But a lot of that ends up being you have to come up with new processes and new commitments. And sometimes you need to even kind of restructure the way things are in the business. And oftentimes this is the point where you really have to look hard at job fits. Do you have the right people in the right positions? And oftentimes, everybody's been doing what they needed when it was smaller and they were able to do that. But now things have changed in the business. And so they're not able to keep up with the growth, I'll say, or even to grow to a greater degree if they keep doing things the same way with people where they had them. So those are just things that you can consider. But remember, if you're in growth or approaching growth, always evaluate and ask yourself, is what's been working for us truly going to continue working for us? Every once in a while it will, but a lot of times you're going to find it won't. And if you can tackle that early, it's going to not only save you a lot of money, but it's also going to save you a lot of time and energy as well. So just think about that. Another one, I guess this is number 8. I like this one a lot. So this is from Mary Pickford. She was a very old, I think, silent movie actress, like way before my time even. But she said, "You may have a fresh start any moment you choose. For this thing that we call failure is not the falling down, but the staying down." Love that. The thing is, a lot of times we feel as if we failed, but if we would change our perspective and really think about that differently, what we would realize is it's a stepping stone. It's a learning opportunity that we've had. I think it was Albert Einstein that said that he didn't fail, but he'd found like 10,000 ways that didn't work or something to that nature. I'm probably really butchering that, but Albert Einstein is one of my favorite inspirational folks. And I love some of the ways that his brain worked. And I think we as leaders would do well to remember and think about folks like that, what can we learn from them and not have to do everything just reinventing the wheel. But I love him. Anyway, so I digress. Here, and speaking of Albert Einstein, I will share number 9 as a quote from him. So he says, "Learn from yesterday, live for today, hope for tomorrow. The important thing is not to stop questioning." That is so true in business. And a lot of times what I run into as a business coach is people will think, oh, well, I went through that exercise already. Yeah, we've already mapped that out. Oh, yeah, I thought about that. Or my favorite is, oh, I know, Anita, I know. Well, my challenge is always, well, show me what you're doing with what you know, for one. And the other thing is just reminding people that just because we did something once doesn't mean that we never need to do it again. I often use the shower analogy. We get dirty, we take a shower. Doesn't mean we're clean the rest of our lives. We have to shower again and again because we get fresh dirt. And the same thing with learning things. We can learn something, but over time, we kind of slip into some old habits if we're not careful and intentional. And before you know it, you forget what you learned before. So what we need to do is have things in place that really help us to be able to continue strengthening and growing from those things that we've learned before. And when we do that, that's where we get more masterful at things. As an exceptional leader, I don't just want to learn things. I want to master things. I really want to be set apart. I want to be a little bit different. I want to be the best at the things that I set my mind to, the goals and objectives that I have for my life. And that only happens if we continue sharpening our brains and coming back to those skills and things and those teachings that we learned before. So I just think it's so important for us to remember that. And then number 10, definitely not the least, I would like to quote another favorite of mine, and that is Thomas Edison. I could just sit and Google Thomas Edison quotes and I could probably read them for an hour. There's so much inspiration and motivation that I get from them. But one of my favorites is genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. I think a lot of times we think things should come easier, or if it's the right thing or the good thing, it will come easier. When in fact, we need to remember everybody started somewhere. Like, I didn't come out of the womb knowing how to do business coaching. Now, I may have been given some God-given talents, and I do believe that I have, but they were raw talent at best. And there were skills and abilities that I had that needed to be sharpened and honed. And so I've had to put a lot of perspiration into what I do so that, again, I can master it. And so just remember for you, if sometimes you feel frustrated because things don't seem to be going the way that you planned, or it's harder, it's more of an uphill climb than what you anticipated, just remember that true genius really is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. I'll go back to my example as an author. I remember I had wanted to write for years. It was a secret dream that I carried. And I just had published authors up on a pedestal. And of course, this was before I'd written several books myself. But back then, I was just in awe, and they seemed so mystical and magical. And that's kind of how I viewed the writing process. And guess what? I didn't think that I could really do it because I saw it that way. Until I took a breath and I decided to just really explore and find out if what I was thinking was indeed fact. And of course, I found out I was wrong, because the writing process really is mostly about the perspiration. It's about the effort you put into it. It's not mystical. It's not magical. Authors are people too, but they're people who put in the hard work. We need to put that perspiration in. You know, when I wanted to become a published author, I set a goal of reading 100 books on the craft and business of writing. And it took me over a year and a half to do that. But when I had finished reading those 100 books, I had the equivalent of a master's degree. I learned so many things. And you know what? There are authors that I work with today that they haven't done that. And I'm able to pass a lot of that education on because I put in the sweat equity to learn. It's one of the ways that I motivated myself. So, exceptional leader. Again, you know, no matter what time of year you're listening to this, you may be listening to it just as it drops at the end of the year, or maybe it's June or July or August when you're listening to this. It doesn't matter. Because again, it's never too late for a fresh start with fresh faith. And if you need a little bit of inspiration to motivate you, then I hope some of these quotes have done that for you. Go to my Facebook page, my author coach page. It's Anita Brooks, and it's P4 Power Coaching, and you can find me there. I'm on Instagram, P4 Power Coaching. I'm on LinkedIn. But I do a lot of postings that are inspirational quotes, some of my own, some from other people. But I can tell you, sometimes you don't have to read 100 pages to get inspired. You don't have to even read 100 words. Sometimes a single sentence is all we need to empower us to take us to greater heights. So again, no matter what time of year you're listening to this, inspire yourself. Go read some quotes. They're going to take you to the next level of your exceptional leadership. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Exceptional Leadership Podcast. There's magic in meeting with an objective, and I always have an objective for you. Not only in these episodes, but also from the other resources I offer on my website, anitabrooks.com. That's ANITABROOKS.com. There you'll find information on digital courses, webinars, books, workbooks, of course, my in-person P4 Power Coaching for businesses and organizations. And if you need a speaker for your conference or your strategic retreat, I'm your gal. But I'm also excited to let you know about a new service that we're offering. For less than half the price of a daily Starbucks latte for a month, you can join our P4 Power Coaching community. This is a monthly membership where you'll get insider tips. And you'll also be able to join our monthly Zoom meetings that are one part strategy sessions, one part mastermind, one part networking, one part coaching. I can promise you'll not only learn from me, but you'll learn from others in the group. We'll also have monthly webinars as part of the P4 Power Coaching community, and we'll have coaching resources and exercises. And you'll get first opportunities and special offers for many of the other things that we have to offer. And of course, you will get leadership encouragements. The P4 Power Coaching community is all about growth, success, and celebrating our wins. And remember, it's never too late for a fresh start with fresh faith. So embrace your exceptional leadership impact with fresh resolve to make the difference you were made for.